Today I will be showing you how to get the cinematic film look for your videos using Dehancer Pro. A couple things that I want to note before getting started is that I'm going to be using Dehancer Pro and running through the different features that they have available in order to help your videos achieve that cinematic film look. The second thing is that I'm going to be using the free version of DaVinci Resolve, so no, you don't need the paid version of DaVinci in order to install and run Dehancer Pro. And then the last thing I want to note is that all the video clips that I'm going to be using were shot in Sony's log format, which for me is S-Log2. The video settings for that were ISO 800, overexposed to plus 1.7, and then the white balance was set to Kelvin at 5400. With all that said, let's go ahead and get started. So before getting started, I just want to run through a couple of the settings that I have turned on my end. You may want to adjust these on your end as well, but I'm going to run you through which settings those are. Under File, click Project Settings, and then in the color science section, you want to have it set to DaVinci YRGB. If you have it set, awesome. If not, set it to that, then hit Save. Under DaVinci Resolve, you want to go to Preferences, and if you're using a Mac, you want to check mark this section. Use Mac Display Color Profiles for viewers. This is what's going to allow you to get the actual colors that you're seeing on your timeline when you export that video. So if you're using a Mac, make sure to check mark this, then hit Save. What I have here is the clips that I pulled from my source folder. In my situation, I have it saved under my SSD drive, so I found that folder, pulled the specific clips that I want to adjust, and then brought them onto my media pool. When you have the video clips that you want to work with onto your media pool, you're going to want to switch over to your edit section, highlight all of them, bring them to your timeline, and then you could switch over to the color section. In the color section, you're able to use the Dehancer Pro plugin to go ahead and implement that film look to all the different clips that you want to adjust. I'm going to find a clip that I want to use. For my example, I'm going to use this one. I can go ahead and hit Library at the very bottom, hit Dehancer Pro, drag it onto my node, and then we could go ahead and get started. So one of the benefits about using Dehancer Pro, especially when you're shooting in log format, is that it allows you to convert that log footage to Rec 709 inside of the plugin. So you don't have to worry about creating all these node trees to then use Dehancer Pro. It allows you that flexibility all inside of the plugin itself. So for my example, I shot in Sony S-Log2. I can convert that to Rec 709 using these settings right here. I choose my camera. It was a Sony. I shot in an A7 III. And then under S-Log2 S-Gamut, that brings it back to Rec 709. So as you can see straight off the bat, you already have that film look. You have grain, you have the colors, you have the vibrance, and then you have the adjustments to the highlights. That is done through the profile under the film section. So under here, you have tons of different profiles that you can select from. Here's a couple of examples. Each one that you select has a different look and feel to it. A couple of the ones that I like are some of the warmer tone ones. So it has that orange teal look to it. For my example, I'm going to be using Cinestill 800T. So once I have selected my film profile, which for my example is Cinestill 800T, I could go ahead and manipulate it to kind of give it that look and feel that I'm trying to achieve. So one of the things that you're going to be able to find under the film developer section is the color boost. The color boost is where you're going to be able to manipulate how much color your footage actually has, or if you want to bring it back down, you could make those adjustments here. You're going to notice that once enabled and I bring this to the far right, it's going to bring a lot more color into my video clip. And then same thing, going to the left, it gives it a more flat color profile. I like bringing it a little bit higher than default. I think the default is set to 0. I'll do 15. And then that gives it enough color on my end to where it doesn't look too strong. It still looks natural. It still looks soft. And it doesn't manipulate too much of that film look. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to adjust is under the film compression section. There's a white point. So when I enable it, you're going to see that when I bring that white point down, especially since I shot this clip outside, there's some clouds in the footage. I bring it down, it really makes those clouds pop. So here's an example. You can see it once enabled, the clouds really come out. And then once disabled, the clouds kind of blend into the sky. So depending on what look and feel you're wanting to achieve, you can go ahead and manipulate some of the settings under this film compression as well. Under the print section, you can go ahead and switch the profile. The profile is going to kind of give it that finishing and crisp look. For example, if I put Kodak Endura glossy paper, so it brings all that together. As you can see, it dropped down the shadows, the blacks, and then it gave it a little bit more contrast, but it messed around with the highlights a little bit as well. So for the purpose of the video, under profile, I'm going to set it to linear, and then that way I can make some more adjustments down below, and then it's more of a manual work, and then we can go ahead and teeter it to our liking. So under the Colorhead section, you could go ahead and manipulate the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights to your liking. These are set as temperature dials, so the further left you take it, the cooler your footage looks. The further right you take it, the warmer it gets. You're going to be able to see that when I disable it and enable it, I've brought my midtones and highlights to the right, so it gives it that more warm, inviting feel to the footage. I'm going to set them right there because that's kind of what I like. So under the film grain section, I zoomed into my footage right here. You're going to be able to notice that when I enable it and disable it, the grain goes away. So this is where you can manipulate it. If you do want that grain look, you set it as enabled, and then you could also adjust how much grain you want. I like the grain look. I don't like too much of it because then it becomes a little bit distracting, but I'm gonna go ahead and set it to 35mm ISO 250 and then bring that down to about 18. The next two things are something that I've seen become super popular within the last couple of months is halation and bloom. We're gonna go ahead and touch base on halation first. Once you enable it, you're going to notice that wherever you have some highlights, it's going to give it that little red glow on the outside. Same thing with this, you have a gauge to where you can manipulate how strong you want that to be. I've noticed a few people bring it all the way to the far right, and then you could bring it down to the middle, lower it. I like it a little bit further to the right, that way you know it's there, but not too much to where it's drawing your eyes constantly to that. So the bloom feature is something that's become super popular as well. I've noticed a lot of creators using it. You're going to notice that when I enable it, it gives it that soft, glowing feel to your overall footage. So when I enable it, you're going to notice on the outlines of the arm right here, and then even the camera, it gives it a little bit of a soft glow. And then the further I zoom out, you're going to notice it as well. So you're going to notice that it's enabled right now, disabled. When I bring it back on, it brings that softness to your overall film look. So with the vignetting, you're going to be able to bring the attention to the audiences based on what you have in the center of your footage. You're going to notice that when I enable it, the corners kind of give out and become a little bit more darker, and then that helps create that tunnel vision if what you have in the center of your frame is what you want your audience to focus on. So once all your adjustments are done, you can go ahead and hit Command Copy or Control Copy if you're using a Windows. Go to a different clip that you haven't made any edits on, do Command View or Control View, and it's going to implement all the different edits that you made under Dehancer Pro in that different node. I'm going to run through and paste them onto a couple of the different clips that I have imported onto my timeline. So as you can see through some of these clips, it's pretty much done. You don't really have to do anything aside from those initial adjustments. And even then, if you're just using the profiles that Dehancer Pro has to offer, you're pretty much 98% there. It's super easy to use, it saves you so much time, it allows you the flexibility of manipulating the footage to make it to your own, and it has the benefit of converting your log footage to Rec 709 all inside the plugin without over manipulating anything. So you don't have to worry about having an initial node and then the secondary one where you go ahead and do your Rec 709, and then the third one where you do your color corrections, and then going back to the exposure one. It's all done within this one node. So it simplifies it, saves you so much time, and it's so easy to use. So one of the cool things about Dehancer Pro is that they actually allow a 2-week trial. So if you're interested, I'm going to go ahead and link that down below. And if you really do like what Dehancer Pro has to offer, like I do, feel free to go ahead and use the code VINI at checkout. That's VINI, and that's going to save you 10% off your total purchase. One of the last things I want to do is give a big thank you to Dehancer Pro. Thank you for partnering with me on this video. The plugin that you guys have created is amazing. A lot of creators, a lot of filmmakers are using it, and then now you can too. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys watching, and see you guys next time.
Make sure to check out Dehancer's new iOS app.
This is the best way to take your pictures and videos to the next level with that professional cinematic film look.